Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name is Matt Morris. We are live right now on YouTube as well as on Rumble at Matt Morris TV. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most eventful days in politics that we have seen in recent American political history. We are going live for a special emergency, literally emergency morning broadcast right now. The Supreme Court, just about 2.5, maybe 3 hours ago, struck down President Trump's IEEPA trade tariffs, his International Emergency Economic Powers trade tariffs in a 6-3 decision. However, this is a very, very complex situation. It is bad news. I will be honest, this is bad news, but it's not perhaps as bad as everyone is making it seem. We're going to break down why exactly that is the case. President Trump can sort of pivot these tariffs and reapply many of them through a different legal framework. So the sky is not falling. The Republic is not lost. Now, the reason why we're going live very early in the morning today is because President Trump himself, in response to this massive Supreme Court ruling that, frankly, we are not happy about, President Trump is going to come on out here in about 13, 14, 15 minutes. Trump is conducting an emergency national address. We have the confirmation from Carolyn Levitt. Take a look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. Thank you all very much for tuning in today. President Trump is going to hold a press briefing on the Supreme Court's tariff decision at 12:45 p.m. Eastern time. That is 16 minutes from now, I believe. And so, of course, I wanted to go live with you folks on today's broadcast a little bit ahead of that, so we can try to break down exactly what's going on. Because like I said, this is not good news, but it's not the worst news. It is not as bad. Trust me, it is not as bad as everyone is claiming it is. Okay? And we're going to break down why. But while we wait for President Trump here, in fact, let me go ahead and pull up. We might even have the White House broadcast. Today is going to be a little bit of a hectic, crazy day here, folks. Okay, we are inside of the White House press conference room, waiting for President Trump to make his appearance in 15 minutes. And while we are waiting here, we're going to go through all of the key details as quickly but also concisely as we possibly can. This morning, in a 6-3 bombshell Supreme Court ruling, the Supreme Court strikes down President Trump's tariffs, holding that the president cannot use the IEEPA, International Emergency Economic Powers Act, in order to levy these tariffs. Now, about 70% of President Trump's tariffs over the last 13 months have been levied, have been invoked in accordance with the IEEPA. So the Supreme Court has struck down 70% of President Trump's tariffs. Now, we have a little bit of a report here coming out of Breitbart. Take a look.
This is one of the most significant decisions on presidential power in decades. The Supreme Court, just moments ago, in a 6-3 decision authored by Chief Justice John Roberts, invalidated most of President Trump's tariffs. 70% of the tariffs he's imposed so far in his second term here have been under the law known as the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. It was written in 1977. He claimed it gave him unlimited power to tariff any country at any level for as long as he wants, and Roberts said the law simply does not give him that authority. Congress, under the Constitution, has the power to tax Americans, collect tariffs. There's no mention of tariffs in that law, and the Supreme Court said he cannot do what he's done.
Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, as it would seem, and we're going to break all this down, President Trump is going to be able to reapply almost all of his tariffs here that were initially filed under the IEEPA. He'll be able to apply these same tariffs under a different legal tariff framework. Now, I want to give you some context. While around 70% of President Trump's tariffs so far have in fact been implemented under the IEEPA, which just got struck down, Trump's most important tariffs, those on steel, aluminum, copper, lumber, and automobile and industrial manufacturing components, were filed under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act and Section 301 of the Trade Act. You see, all of President Trump's most important tariffs, he said, there is a chance the Supreme Court strikes down the IEEPA stuff. So we are going to file the most important ones under a different legal framework. So to be very clear, the most important tariffs that Trump has applied over the last 13 months are still in effect. The Supreme Court's ruling today was actually very narrow, and even the tariffs that it did impact, he can reapply through a different framework. Now, a little bit of a breakdown while we wait for President Trump. In this 6-3 ruling, SCOTUS strikes down some of Trump's tariffs. This marks the first major legal defeat for the Trump administration, but it most certainly is not the end of President Trump's tariffs. As with the Biden administration's student loan forgiveness, the policy can be re-implemented with a slightly different legal basis and probably go through without a hitch. SCOTUS did not touch the idea of refunds for tariffs. So everybody is speculating right now, well, is Trump going to have to issue refunds for all of the IEEPA tariffs that have just been overturned? Well, they didn't really address that. Kavanaugh, we're going to take a look at some statements from him. He said it would be a mess. It would be a mess to issue refunds. He's right. Now, these Supreme Court justices, Alito, Kavanaugh, Thomas, sided with Trump in favor of Trump's IEEPA tariffs. Then you have the dissenters siding against Trump: Roberts, Sotomayor, Kagan, Gorsuch, Barrett, and Jackson. It was a 6-3 decision. Let's keep on going through this. Scott Pressler at The Persistence, he says, SCOTUS struck down President Trump's IEEPA reciprocal tariffs. If a nation cannot stop other countries from ripping off the U.S., then we are not a free nation. This ruling goes against our sovereignty. That's absolutely right. Now, can I show you something that I myself posted here? We're going viral on Twitter this morning, ladies and gentlemen. 1 hour ago, 11,000 likes. I said, according to SCOTUS, Trump isn't allowed to apply 20% trade tariff, but Biden is allowed to flood the country with 25 million illegal aliens. And of course, I think that's how a lot of people feel right now. I saw earlier today, Mike Pence chimed in. Mike Pence, he had to give his thoughts. As Mike Pence said, today's 6-3 ruling by the Supreme Court is a victory for the American people and a win for the separation of powers enshrined in the U.S. Constitution. Shut up. He went on to say, I'm proud of the work our organization, American Freedom, has done on this case through our robust... Guys, Mike Pence and his organization, American Freedom Organization, was helping build the case against President Trump's capacity to leverage these IEEPA trade tariffs. You want to talk about a traitor? You want to talk about a backstabber? Mike Pence. He said this is a win for free trade. With this historic decision, America can now return to the pursuit of free trade with free nations. I said free trade when just to put this on the record here, every other nation around the world for decades has been tariffing the living hell out of our country. How is it free trade if we can't impose tariffs on them, but they can impose tariffs on us? Is that free trade? Is that free trade, Mr. Mike Pence? I said, you're a moron and a traitor. All of us are a little bit heated today. Are we heated? Like I said, though, this is not as bad as everybody's making it sound. The Supreme Court's ruling applies only to tariffs under the IEEPA. This decision does not invalidate tariffs imposed under other statutes. For example, Section 232 and Section 301. We talked about those a minute ago. It holds only that the IEEPA does not authorize the president to impose trade tariffs. So, like I'm going to keep saying this because I want everybody to maybe all of us, maybe myself included, we all need to simmer down. We all need to not panic here. Everybody relax a little bit, take a deep breath. President Trump, he's been saying for months now, he's got a backup plan. If the Supreme Court does strike this stuff down, we've got a backup plan. And there is a backup plan. There is genuinely a backup plan. A lot of these IEEPA tariffs can be reapplied under different legal frameworks. And that is what is going to happen now. I would suppose that is what President Trump is going to talk about today at this emergency press conference, which is scheduled for 8 minutes from now. Okay. We're going to keep on going through this. SCOTUS holds The Supreme Court has determined that Trump may unilaterally ban or embargo all imports under the IEEPA, but not levy tariffs that fall short of. So I want to put this into context. In fact, Justice Kavanaugh talked about this. We're going to read through it. This is Kavanaugh's a statement he issued in support of Trump's capacity to leverage tariffs. The IEEPA says a president is able to shut down and ban all imports from any country you want, but you're not allowed to impose a trade tariff on those countries. So to be clear, President Trump, if he wanted, in accordance with the legal framework here of the IEEPA, Trump could shut down all 100% of imports coming into this country from China, but he could not impose a 1% trade tariff on those products coming in from China. He could shut them all down, but he couldn't impose a 1% trade tariff. It is absolutely insane. Is that insane? Is that nonsensical? It is nonsensical. And this is what Kavanaugh said. He said, the plaintiffs and the court acknowledge that IEEPA authorizes the president to impose quotas or embargoes on foreign imports, meaning that a president could completely block some or all imports from a foreign country. But they say that IEEPA does not authorize the president to employ the lesser power of tariffs, which simply condition imports on a payment. As they interpret the statute, he's talking about the 6 justices that just sided against Trump today. As they interpret this statute, the president could, for example, block all imports from China, but cannot order even a $1 tariff on goods imported from China. This is entirely nonsensical. Kavanaugh was right. This is ridiculous. This interpretation of the IEEPA is absolutely insane. This is what Kavanaugh was saying. Kavanaugh also, in support of Trump, he said, in 1971, President Nixon imposed 10% tariffs on almost all foreign imports. He levied the tariffs under IEEPA's predecessor statute, Trading with the Enemy Act, which similarly authorized the president to, quote, regulate importation. The Nixon tariffs were upheld in the Supreme Court. So a little bit of hypocrisy here. Maybe some Trump derangement syndrome was guiding or influencing this decision here today. Kavanaugh's dissent today provides a roadmap for Trump to implement the same tariffs, just so long as he cites different laws and operates through a different legal framework. That is where we're going right now. That is where we're going now. Kavanaugh said, although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. This is because numerous other federal statutes authorize the president to impose tariffs and might justify most, if not all, of the tariffs at issue in this current case, albeit perhaps with a few additional procedural steps that IEEPA as an emergency statute does not require. Those statutes include, for example, the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, Section 232, the Trade Act of 1974, Section 122, 201, and 301, and then Section 338 of the Tariff Act of 1930. In essence, the Supreme Court today concluded that the president checked the wrong statutory box by relying on the IEEPA rather than another statute to impose these tariffs. Now, by the way, keep in mind, like I said, 30% of all of Trump's tariffs over the last 13 months, in fact, Trump's most important trade tariffs, those on steel, aluminum, copper, lumber, automobile, and industrial manufacturing components, the most important tariffs, Trump already applied originally under Section 232 and Section 301. Trump has already, just to be super safe, the most important tariffs, Trump already operated through these alternative legal processes just to be safe. And so now what's going to happen? The IEEPA tariffs have been shut down. Well, all of them are now going to be pushed through another alternative legal framework, which he's already done for 30% of his total tariff so far. Are you guys following? Okay. I know this is a complex story. Today's Supreme Court ruling is relatively narrow. It strikes down only the tariffs imposed under the IEEPA and does not decide whether similar tariffs can be reimposed under other statutes. President Trump may just do that, which would bring this case potentially back up to the Supreme Court in the future. I think these tariffs are not going anywhere. Trump is going to have to reapply these tariffs through a different legal framework, sure. But I think these tariffs are not going anywhere, folks. I want to share with you something that Trump said. Earlier this morning, Trump said, I have to do something about the courts. You hear that? Trump earlier this morning, Trump is pissed. Are you pissed? Of course, this is not a complete and total defeat. Plan A, check it off. Now we're moving on to plan B. Okay, fair enough. But still, this is ridiculous. Even just looking at the framework of the IEEPA, this Supreme Court ruling is ridiculous. We do have a backup plan, but the fact that plan A is now off the board, ridiculous. Trump said, I've got to do something about these courts this morning. And by the way, Trump is coming out in 2 minutes here. In 2 minutes here, Trump is going to come on out and speak to all of us. He's going to let us know. I think today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get heated, potentially slightly angry President Trump. That is what we are going to see today, potentially. Not happy about this. He goes on to say something else I want to show you. President Trump announces this morning that he has a, quote, backup plan for tariffs after the Supreme Court ruled the IEEPA tariffs to be illegal. Buckle up, folks. Buckle up, folks. I think this press conference, hey, listen, how many people have we got here today? Everybody, tell your friends, hey, do me a favor, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be one heck of an emergency announcement coming from President Trump. Big news today, folks. Do me a favor, this tweet right now, if you are not already following the Twitter page, the page on X, go ahead, follow the page. Do me a favor, like that tweet. Let's get the word out here. I think Trump is going to put on one heck of a show here literally any minute now. Any minute now. Now, we do have some other material to go through while we are on standby for President Trump. He might be a couple minutes late. That's okay. Let me figure out where we left off here. Oh, yeah, here we go. The CEO of Goldman Sachs this morning said that the Supreme Court ruling is not really going to affect tariffs and that Goldman Sachs is expecting the Trump administration to use an alternative legal framework. And that's what we're saying here. That's what everybody's talking about. Goldman Sachs agrees. Yeah, this is not really this Supreme Court ruling. It's going to be a little tiny speed bump, and Trump will reapply these tariffs under a different framework. We're all on the same page. In fact, we've got a Fox News report we can take a look at real quick. This is former Deputy Assistant Attorney General John Yoo, legal scholar, legal professor. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Figuring out a refund process is going to be the mother of all refund tax seasons, and this is going to be a disaster. But that's up for another day. That's up to the lower courts. In terms of the future, I would actually say, Dana, and I teach trade law and international business law for my sins at Berkeley when I don't get to teach the Constitution. When I teach those, I teach the students. Actually, President Trump could turn around tomorrow and start the process of reimposing tariffs. He doesn't need new legislation from Congress. There are a bunch of federal statutes. They go by fancy terms like Super 301 and Section 232. There are a bunch of existing trade laws. In fact, President Trump can use IEEPA itself. Again, the thing the court is saying is that you have to do it in a certain way. You have to use these trade laws to be specific as to a country and what that country is doing. Is that country a national security threat? So, for example, under the IEEPA law itself, the United States has pursued not tariffs, complete embargoes, 100% cutoffs of trade with countries like Iran, Cuba, and North Korea. If President Trump wanted to cut China off entirely, as some people, I think, in his administration would love, he can use the IEEPA statute to do that. And if he wants to impose more fine-tuned tariffs of 10%, 20%, he can use these other trade laws that I've been talking about there.
So to be very clear, what this means is that now going forward, in order to reapply these IEEPA IEEPA tariffs under a new legal framework, Trump has to come out and make the argument that it is a national security threat, the fact that we get 43% of our medical equipment from China. The fact that we get whatever the number is, 43% of our medical supplies from China, that is a national security threat. So we are now, following that realization, we're going to apply a tariff on Chinese imports in the pharmaceutical or medical equipment sector. Okay, so now you have to justify tariffs in this new legal framework as a national security threat. It's a national security threat that we get 57% of our wine and cheese from France. We should have a domestic wine and cheese sector. And the fact that, all this cheese and wine coming in from France is undermining our domestic wine and cheese markets, that's national security threat, tariff on France. Okay, so you can kind of see that's kind of a funny example, but this is kind of how Trump has to navigate the situation now. He has to recharacterize a lot of this stuff, which he can do that. It's not difficult to do that. It's not difficult to do that at all. So that is going to be the process moving forward. Back in January, Kevin Hassett, director of the National Economic Council of the United States, stated that Trump administration has a backup plan should the IEEPA tariffs get shut down. And they did. Okay. It seems to involve Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974. And that's what we're talking about. In fact, a lot of Trump's tariffs already have been filed in accordance with Section 122. Section 122 gives the President of the United States the ability to, quote, proclaim a temporary import surcharge not to exceed 15% ad valorem on articles imported into the United States if there is a large and serious United States imbalance of payments deficits. Well, that is exactly our situation. So, perfect. This would be a stopgap that only lasts 150 days. Now, what I would like to know, Section 122 is saying that if this criteria is met, you can then apply a tariff on a foreign importer or foreign exporter for up to 150 days. After 150 days, can you immediately reapply it? I saw somebody earlier today saying, yes, you can. So it's 150 days. You can apply this 15% tariff on whatever, and then you can just immediately reapply another one, another 15% for another 150 days. So effectively, it's permanent. Okay, so not a problem then. There's no problem at all. You just keep it up. Not a problem. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are waiting for President Trump. He's coming on out here. Emergency announcement. We heard from Carolyn Levitt. President Trump is going to be holding a press briefing on the Supreme Court's tariff decision today, 12:45 p.m. Eastern. That was 5 minutes ago. We are operating on Trump's time. This is going to be a big, folks, this is going to be a big one, okay? Really, Trump is going to come in hot today. He's going to come in heated. But, the Trump administration, they have contingency plans. They have been planning for this. They have been preparing for this. Okay, if the Supreme Court does shoot this down, what then? They've got a backup plan. Now, while we wait for President Trump, I see some super chats and Rumble rants coming in. Let me see what you folks have to say. Take a look at this. William Crane on Rumble. Thank you, sir. He says, there are no more political arguments to be made with treasonous billionaires and seditious commies. They are laughing at you and salivating over your children. The only solution is death to traitors. That's William Crane. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Luckily, I think that we are actually going to be able to successfully navigate this situation. There is a legal navigation, a legal path forward, and we know the Trump administration has been planning for it. In fact, that is why all of Trump's most important tariffs over the last couple months have already been implemented through that more secure legal framework. Now, I'm pulling up the super chats over here on YouTube, and I've got them up. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. I'm going to put this up on the screen there. Thank you all very much. This is a one-man show. Thank you all for tuning in. We're on standby for President Trump. Mark Mason, thank you, sir. Good morning. He says, this is just a small setback. Everyone, don't worry. I think so. I think you're right. Bill Investments, thank you very much, sir. Mark Mason again says, Trump is always ahead of the game. Chess against checkers. We know the Trump administration, they have contingency plans. We know. Bill Investment says, your suit makes you look like a Kirby vacuum salesman. Well, would you like to buy a vacuum? Is anybody here interested in buying a vacuum? Because I'm not selling them. I don't have any vacuums for you. Sorry, I don't. I hate to disappoint. The Average Gamer, he says, Trump's first Supreme Court loss is the most important one. You know, I actually don't think that this tariff Supreme Court ruling is the most important. There's the big three Supreme Court rulings we've been waiting for. Tariffs under IEEPA. We lost that one, but it's fine because we can reapply almost all of these through a different legal framework. It's not the end of the world. There's another two, birthright citizenship. And also, in my opinion, this is the most important one that we actually have a chance of winning here, is the constitutionality of racially gerrymandering voting districts in accordance with the 1965 Voting Rights Act. We really want to win that one. We really desperately want to win that one, and I think we will. To be totally honest here, I'm not expecting to win the birthright citizenship Supreme Court case. I think we will probably lose, to be honest. There is a chance we will win, and I hope we do, but I'm not holding my breath. The racial gerrymandering Voting Rights Act dynamic, I think we will win, and when we do win that, that is earth-shattering. That is massive, because when we win that, the Democrats are set to lose anywhere from 12 to 15 seats in the House of Representatives, which means the Republicans will gain 12 to 15. Massive. That's massive. That's a 24-point gap right there in the House of Representatives by nature of this Supreme Court ruling that we are probably going to win. That is massive. That will be massive. Now, of course, like I said, I'm hoping that we win this birthright citizenship thing, but I'm not exactly holding my breath. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have a super chat here. Another one from Mark Mason says, Matt, the State of the Union starts to run for the midterms. What do you think Trump might say at the State of the Union? By the way, that is scheduled for Tuesday, 4 days from now, February 24th. Good reminder. We're going to watch that here together. Folks, we in this community here on Rumble and YouTube, that was Carolyn Levitt, we are going to be watching the State of the Union address together as a community, the Morse Force. So come back, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button. I'm going to be here for it live with you folks, breaking it all down. I would suppose at the State of the Union, Trump is going to drop evidence or proof of 2020 election voter tampering, election fraud, foreign interference. That's my guess. That Trump is going to drop a bombshell. Listen, hey, we have the proof. We know the 2020 election was stolen, and here's the proof. At least that's what I'm hoping. At least I'm praying for that. We will see. We will see. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mark Mason. Thank you very much. We have another one from Patricia Luna, says, love Formal Friday. I have on my Airmine cape and tiara. We've got the princess in the audience today. Trump always has plan B, plan C, plan D. Nothing's going to stop him. America first. Oh, look, they're changing the color here, Patricia. As we say, you're right. America first is inevitable. So you can tell, folks, you can tell Trump is mad. Trump is not happy. They dimmed the lights. They've got the blue backlighting. This is going to be serious. This is going to be serious. This is going to be somber. This is pissed off Trump. Today, we are going to get pissed off, scorched earth Trump. That is what I want to see. That's what I'm here for, at least. It's going to be a big one. Carolyn Levitt, she said, yep. She just head nodded. Yep, he's coming out soon. Trump is coming out soon. They've got the lighting all set up here. We've got the mood lighting. Yep, that's right. That's right. Thank you, Patricia. You know, I almost did not wear a suit today. I saw this post from Carolyn Levitt on X. She said, emergency broadcast. I said, man, I don't know if I have time to get ready. I might just wear my pajama pants. No, it's Friday. What good is a tradition if you don't upkeep and maintain the tradition? It's Formal Friday. Got to have the suit on. So here we are. Thank you, Patricia. John Ziegler, he says, keep China out. How nuts would it be if Trump said, okay, you know what? The Supreme Court ruled that under the IEEPA, I can't leverage tariffs. Okay, you know what I can do under the IEEPA? I am shutting down every single foreign import from China, every single one of them. national security crisis. If I can't maintain a 25% tariff on China, you know what I'm doing? I am shutting down every damn import from that entire country. Now what? America first. I don't think he'll do that. I don't think he's going to do that. But that would be crazy. That would be something else. That would be something else. Thank you very much for that. Mark Mason, another one. Mark Mason is going crazy today. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, sir. He says, Matt, are you on True Social? I'm hoping to follow you. I am not on True Social. Well, I actually do have an account. That account, Matt Morris TV, is mine on True Social, but I don't post on it. I don't do anything there. I have an account so I can see what Trump is doing, but I'm not really posting on it so much. Really, I'm on X. I'm an X guy. I'm an X man. I'm not an X man. I'm an X man. Thank you. Thank you very much. Although my driver's license does say that I'm a woman these days, so that's a problem I've got to fix. In the state of Idaho, I'm legally a woman at this moment, as you saw. But no, I'm only on X. Thank you very much, sir. They're doing some color testing here on the cameras. Do we have audio? Okay, we have audio from inside of the room now, folks. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a press conference for the history books. This is going to be a big one. You do not want to miss this. You do not want to miss this. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to follow, subscribe. I'm going to get my big head out of the way a little bit here. You know, there's all these rumors that China has influence on the Supreme Court, that we've got Supreme Court justices that are being influenced or pressured or bribed by the CCP. Is it possible? Because think about this. Who benefits the most from today's Supreme Court ruling? It's China. It's China. Is it possible that China has some disproportionate amount of influence on our Supreme Court justices? Because China is the big beneficiary from the ruling today. Think about that. I don't know, man. Sir, I don't know. Got to look into it. Look into that. Somebody better look into that. Is it possible that Ketanji Brown Jackson, who doesn't have an original thought in her brain, she might be the most incompetent woman in the country. Ketanji Brown Jackson. How the hell did she get on this court? Could you imagine if George Washington saw that we had Ketanji Brown Jackson on our Supreme Court? What do you think Washington would do? Unbelievable. What would Jackson do? But here we are. Yeah, literally, she is a DEI Supreme Court justice. And by the way, literally she is. I don't know if you remember this, ladies and gentlemen, on the 2020 campaign trail, Joe Biden literally said, you find the interview, he said this on like CNN. He said, if you vote for me, Joe Biden, to be president of the United States, I promise I will put an African-American woman on the Supreme Court. He campaigned on that. That was a campaign, and then he did it. It was campaign trail promise, and then he did it. And so we know for a fact, Ketanji Brown Jackson, she was not chosen because she was the best or the brightest. She was chosen because she was a fat black woman. Maybe not fat. She was a black woman who happens to be fat. Sorry. Sometimes it slips out. That slipped out. Sorry. My bad. That was a little bit rude, perhaps, but it is true. It's true nonetheless. Now, by the way, fun fact about Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is a fat black woman who did not earn her position. She was signed on to the Supreme Court with Joe Biden's auto pen, the auto pen. So hey, if we end up being able to overturn these auto pen, all this auto pen stuff, we might be able to kick her off the Supreme Court. Who knows? I'm holding my breath. Maybe I shouldn't hold my breath too long. I might pass out, but maybe there's a legal argument to get her kicked off the Supreme Court. I hope, I pray, give a little prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump was scheduled to come on out here about 15 minutes ago and talk about this Supreme Court ruling today. If you're tuning in right now, the Supreme Court issued a bombshell. Ooh, lights are on. Lights are off. Lights are on. Lights are off. Supreme Court issued a bombshell ruling today, 6-3, determining that President Trump does not have the legal authority to issue IEEPA trade tariffs. These are trade tariffs in accordance with the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA. Now, over the last 13 months, as you might have noticed, President Trump has issued a lot of trade tariffs all over the place. Around 70%, right on the nose, 70% of President Trump's tariffs over the last 13 months have been issued under the IEEPA. So now, with this Supreme Court ruling, 70% of Trump's tariffs are kaput. However, as it would seem, all of these formerly IEEPA trade tariffs can actually just be reapplied under a different framework, under a different legal mechanism, different legal framework. So the Supreme Court said you're not allowed to use the IEEPA to leverage these trade tariffs, but you can pretty much just reapply them through a different framework. And so that is what Trump is going to do. That is what I would suppose he's going to talk about today, right now, whenever he steps out here. So this is a speed bump. We're not happy about today's Supreme Court ruling. It's not perfect. It's not ideal. But is it the end of the world? Is it Armageddon? Is the sky falling down? No, because Trump can just reapply all of these. So not a big deal. In fact, like I said, only 70% of Trump's tariffs have been applied over the last 13 months in accordance with the IEEPA. The other 30% are actually Trump's most important tariffs. Trump is a smart guy. He's a strategizer. He said, okay, we're a little bit concerned about the Supreme Court case. So all of our most important tariffs, we're not even going to apply them under the IEEPA. We're going to apply them under this more secure legal framework. When I say most important tariffs, I'm talking Trump's tariffs on steel, aluminum, copper, lumber, automobile, and industrial manufacturing components to revitalize our domestic manufacturing sector. Trump said, we're not playing games with these ones. We're going to make sure these ones are legit. We're going to apply these most important tariffs under the more robust legal framework we know is secure. So what I would suppose over the next couple weeks, next couple months, all of these IEEPA tariffs that have now been kind of shut down, we're just going to see them get reapplied under this more robust framework. Specifically, we're talking about Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act and Section 301 of the Trade Act. We're going to see all of these IEEPA tariffs get reapplied under those frameworks, which is all good, solid, it's concrete. So that's where we're going. That's how we got here. That's where we are, and that's where we're going. So do not panic. I see a lot of people panicking. We're not happy. It's okay to be a little bit pissed off today. Just don't panic. You can be mad, but don't panic. Okay? That's how I'm feeling. I'm a little bit mad, but I'm not panicking. That's where we are. That's where we are today, folks. Now, I think we probably have a minute here. Whenever Trump comes out, I'm going to zip my lips and I'm going to hand the microphone over to him. But now I think we've got a good opportunity. We've got a minute here to go through some more super chats, I believe. No, everybody panic. Everybody panic. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Do not do that. We have some more. Okay, we've got some more super chats. Leon Snell. Thank you very much. And that's a super chat in a euro. That's a European super chat. Thank you very much, all the way from Europe. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have a super chat here from Easecake. Says, birthright citizenship is nonsense, just bonkers nonsense. If I could snap my fingers, we'd get rid of it. Get it out of here. Get it out of here. It's been catastrophic. Birthright citizenship has been catastrophic for this country. 100%. Do you agree? Give me a 1 in the chat if you agree. 100%. Greg Adamite, he says, Matt, I thought it was Thursday until I saw the suit. Yeah, me too. And then I woke up, I checked my calendar. Oh boy, I got to do my hair today. I've got to do my hair today. That's the most annoying part about it. Thank you, Mr. Adamite. Oh. Is he coming out here? Not yet. Not yet. Thank you, sir. Good morning. Happy Friday morning. Thank you very much. Johnny Five says, Mike Pence is a traitor. True. and a moron, and a moron, a traitor and a moron. True. I mean, Mike Pence today on Twitter, he was, can I show you here? Let me show you. I replied to him. Real quick. This is Mike Pence this morning, for those of you that did not see it. Mike Pence, following this Supreme Court ruling, he said, today's 6-3 ruling by the Supreme Court is a victory for the American people and a win for separation of powers enshrined in the Constitution. With this historic decision, America can now return to the pursuit of free trade with free nations under the Constitution. This is what's craziest. He said, I am proud of the work our organization, American Freedom, has done on this case. Folks, Mike Pence and his organization, American Freedom, was actively working to litigate against the president and his capacity to leverage IEEPA trade tariffs. Mike Pence had a hand in this. He was litigating against Trump. Dude, you're a traitor, man. You are a traitor. And he's on the timeline, he's on Twitter today, bragging about it, flaunting it. You are a traitor. I cannot believe that this guy was ever our vice president. Total loser. Total loser. Thank you, Johnny Five. Redneck in North California said, by the way, I love that name. He said, I heard his State of the Union speech, stress will abide by the law. States should do the same when it comes to deportation of illegal aliens. Very true. We got to deport these illegal aliens. I feel bad. We do have a bunch of conservatives in California or Oregon or Washington or otherwise, other blue states, and you're living under the boot and thumb. Like you're a redneck conservative living up in North California, and you've got to follow the rules that a bunch of radicals in Los Angeles and San Francisco. It's ridiculous. I feel bad. I feel bad for the blue state conservatives. Terrible. Death VR Gamer, he says, yep, I want him to roll back all imports in China, India, and other countries that will test our resolve. Maybe that's the plan. Hey, he might talk about it. He might talk about it. Who knows what he's going to say? You know Trump is not happy about this. In fact, real quick, can I check Truth Social? Has he said anything on Truth Social? Stand down, folks. Stand by, folks. No, nothing. Nothing on Truth Social. Nothing yet. We got the peace sign. Sarcastic Prodigy says, the thought of potentially having a Swalwell and Fang Fang double B starred birthright citizenship spy saboteur love child deeply disturbs me. Yeah, not good. Swalwell, he's trying to become the governor. Governor Swalwell of California. I think he's probably going to lose, though. Him and Fang Fang. Ni hao ma. Ni hao ma. Ni hao ma. Him and Fang Fang. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We got to shut that down. 2 minutes. Maybe that means 2 minutes. That might be the 2-minute mark there. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Hey, it is an eventful day. It's an eventful day. Trump earlier today, I kid you not, look at this. Trump said, I have to do something about the courts. Whoa, Trump, what are we going to do here? Sir, what are we talking about? We saw Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson, this was in the 1840s. In the 1840s, I believe, there was a Supreme Court ruling. Andrew Jackson, President Jackson, didn't like it. And it was a bad ruling, to be fair. We're not going to go into the details, but Andrew Jackson said, the Supreme Court has made their decision. Now let them enforce it. And then he just ignored them. Andrew Jackson, the legend, he said, yeah, all right, the Supreme Court made their bad decision. Now they can enforce it because I'm not going to enforce it. He said, good for them. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do that. Andrew Jackson. Man, I wish every day I pray, I wish President Trump was a little bit more Jacksonian. I wish Trump was just like 5% more Jacksonian. That would be something else. That would be something else, man. We can pray. We can pray. And he's coming on out here any minute now. Andrew Jackson, listen, no disrespect to President Trump or George Washington or Lincoln. I think Jackson was my favorite president. Jackson, for me, I think he's got to be my favorite. I like Andrew Jackson. He's my favorite one. Shout out Washington. You know, okay, maybe Washington is number one. Jackson 2. Trump 3. Lincoln 4. I don't know. Hey, it's complex. It's a complex conversation. But we've had some good ones. We've had a couple good presidents. Everybody's ready. You can see the room is silent. They were all talking. They were yip-yapping here. You know Trump is coming on out here in a minute. You know. I think it won't be long now, folks. It won't be long. Russell B., we have a super chat from Russell B. He says, Mike Pence is working for the British government to bring President Trump down. He will try to destroy Trump in the midterms. Mike Pence is like a scorned, pissed off lover. You ever have like a psychotic ex-girlfriend who dedicates her entire life to like just destroying you? You know what it's like? It's like that Carrie Underwood song where she stabs the tires and bashes in the windshield. That's Mike Pence. Mike Pence is like a pissed off ex-girlfriend who's doing every single thing he can to try to take down Trump. It's not going to work, buddy. It's not going to work. And listen, rumor is Mike Pence is actually going to try to campaign in the 2028 presidential election. He's going to try to become the president. Mike Pence, still to this day, has presidential aspirations. I don't think so. I don't think so, sir. Nobody wants what you've got. Nobody wants it. Ilyan Stavrev, thank you for the super chat, sir. Another one from Europe. Shout out the Europeans today. He says, I'm having zero faith in these judges. Your America First move and all MAGA agendas are always hanging in the mercy of these incompetent and weaponized judges. Yeah, in a lot of ways, yeah, it's a problem. I'm from Bulgaria and never even have faith in judges. Supreme, yeah. We have a judicial problem. We know the Democrats have made a deliberate attempt, a successful attempt, to weaponize our judicial system. Chuck Schumer, there's a clip. You guys, I almost play it every day. Chuck Schumer, he was bragging about 14 months ago. Chuck Schumer, he said during the Biden administration, the Democrats strategically inserted around 230 far-left, anti-American, radically progressive judges across the country, federal judges, for the sole and exclusive purpose of undermining every single thing that Trump tries to do. Chuck Schumer, he's publicly bragging about that. He said, yeah, we did that. Yep, we did that. Bragging about it. So it is a problem. Now, another problem here is that it is very difficult to try to get rid of a federal judge or a Supreme Court justice. It's almost impossible. Almost impossible. Once these judges have been appointed, it is so difficult to get rid of them. You kind of have to deal with them. President Trump, though, earlier today, he says, I've got to do something about the courts. What are we going to do? What does that mean? What are we going to do? Jen Cree, he says, Trump does his best work under intense adversity. The best is yet to come, and Pence is back on Trump's radar. Would not want to be him right now. You know, I'll tell you something. Whenever Trump, you're right, correct. Also, whenever Trump is under intense pressure, we always see his approval ratings skyrocket. It's true. When it's just obvious, transparently obvious across the country that Trump is getting messed with by the far left, he's getting an unfair shake, his approval ratings skyrocket. American people, we don't like that. We don't want to see that. We don't like all of this bullshit. I'm sorry. Sorry. There's my first swear word of the day, but we don't want to see that. We're not happy with it. Let Trump cook. We elected Trump to be the chef. Put him in the kitchen. Let him cook. We want Trump to cook. We have this one here. Dizzy Dial says, can we stop saying these people are incompetent judges? Pence are all doing this on purpose. It is malicious. It is malicious. They are traitors. They are anti-American subversives is what they are. We have a super chat from John Jones. He says, the TVs that are usually by the podium aren't there today. That is true. This is not going to be show and tell. This is going to be Trump going scorched earth today. What are we getting today? Show and tell? No. Scorched earth Trump. Pissed off Trump is what we're getting today. Emergency broadcast today is what we are getting. The other day, randomly, I looked up how much does it cost to buy a podium like this? Do you know how much a podium like this costs? $12,000. I said, man, a podium? Just like this, looking nice, not with the presidential seal, of course, but $12,000 for a podium that's looking good like that. It's unbelievable. Podium, buying a podium in this economy? It's unbelievable. Too much. I looked him up the other day. I said, maybe I want to buy a podium. Matt, does this mean you are both domestic and abroad? Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Fred Samuel says, don't worry, Trump planned for this. Trump, we know. Trump has contingency plans. He's got backup plans. In fact, we literally know that. There is a reason why 30% of Trump's tariffs, his most important tariffs, were already preemptively filed under these alternative legal structures, not the IEEPA, but other legal structures, just in case. Trump is one step ahead. He's always one step ahead. One step ahead. It is true, undeniably so. Undeniably so. Now, folks, I will say, while we are waiting for President Trump, he's stepping on out here any minute. Do me a favor, if you are new, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to follow on Rumble all over the place. As I like to say, follow me everywhere except for real life. Thank you very much. I appreciate my personal space. Matt Morris TV on Twitter. You know what? Hey, for all of the breaking news updates, I want to show you something. We actually launched a new Twitter page just the other day. It is called The Morse Report. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not already followed The Morse Report, do me a favor. 24/7 breaking news live updates around the clock, everything. You're not going to miss a thing if you follow that page on Twitter, on X. Hit that follow button on The Morse Report. And Trump is coming on out here any second now. Any second. Knowing Trump, his backup plan has already been filed. Excellence. Could be. I mean, listen, this has been talk of the town for 13 months. We've been waiting on the edge of our seat for this Supreme Court ruling. There's been some controversy. Is the Supreme Court going to uphold these IEEPA tariffs or not? Well, for 13 months, they have been planning a backup plan, contingencies. Okay, there's a chance we might not win. Okay, if we don't win, then what? Then what? Here he is. And we've got Lutnick. All right, folks, here we go. Here we go.
Wow. That's a lot of people. That's a new record. We set a record every time. Well, thank you very much for being here. The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing, and I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed, for not having the courage to do what's right for our country. I'd like to thank and congratulate Justices Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh for their strength and wisdom and love of our country, which is right now very proud of those justices. When you read the dissenting opinions, there's no way that anyone can argue against them.
Yeah.
There's no way. Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic. They're so happy. And they're dancing in the streets, but they won't be dancing for long. That I can assure you.
Oh.
The Democrats on the court are thrilled, but they will automatically vote no. They're an automatic no, just like in Congress. They're an automatic no. They're against anything that makes America strong, healthy, and great again. They also are a, frankly, disgrace to our nation, those justices. They're an automatic no, no matter how good a case you have. It's a no. But you can't knock their loyalty. It's one thing you can do with some of our people. Others think they're being politically correct, which has happened before far too often with certain members of this court, and it's happened so often with this court. What a shame. Having to do with voting in particular, when in fact they're just being fools and lapdogs for the rhinos and the radical left Democrats, and not that this should have anything at all to do with it. They're very unpatriotic and disloyal to our Constitution. It's my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would ever think. It's a small movement. I won by millions of votes. We won in a landslide.
Whoa.
With all the cheating that went on, there was a lot of it, but we still won in a landslide. Too big to rig. But these people are obnoxious, ignorant, and loud. They're very loud. And I think certain justices are afraid of that. They don't want to do the right thing. They're afraid of it. This was an important case to me, more as a symbol of economic national security, and also, I would say, just for our country itself, so important, because we're doing so well as a country. We've never done so well. The good news is that there are methods, practices, statutes, and authorities, as recognized by the entire court in this terrible decision, and also as recognized by Congress, which they refer to, that are even stronger than the IEEPA tariffs available to me as President of the United States. And in actuality, I was very modest in my ask of other countries and businesses because I wanted to do, and it's very important, I wanted to be very well behaved because I wanted to do anything, I didn't want to do anything that would affect the decision of the court, because I understand the court. I understand how they're very easily swayed. I want to be a good boy. I have very effectively utilized tariffs over the past year to make America great again. Our stock market has just recently broken 50,000 on the Dow, and simultaneously, and even more amazingly, broken 7,000 on the S&P, two numbers that everybody thought upon our landslide election victory could not be attained. Think of that. Nobody thought it was possible to do it within 4 years, and we did it in 1 year. They said, you'll never be able, you'll go back and you read the geniuses, read their statements, all of the Nobel Prize winners in economics. They said, no, you couldn't do it in 4 years. Well, we didn't do it in 4 years. We did it in 1 year. We broke every record in the book, and we're continuing to do so. Tariffs have likewise been used to end 5 of the 8 wars that I settled. I settled 8 wars, whether you like it or not, including India, Pakistan, big ones, nuclear, could have been nuclear. Prime Minister of Pakistan said yesterday at the great meeting that we had, the Peace Board, he said yesterday that President Trump could have saved 35 million lives by getting us to stop fighting. They were getting ready to do some bad things. But they've given us great national security, these tariffs have. And together with our strong borders, reduced fentanyl coming into our country by 30%. When I use them as a penalty against countries illegally sending this poison into our country to poison our youth. All of those tariffs remain. They all remain. I don't know if you know that or not. They all remain. We're still getting them, and we will after the decision. I guess there's nobody left to appeal to. But again, those 3 people, such respect. I've had a lot of respect for them anyway, but such great respect. But other alternatives will now be used to replace the ones that the court incorrectly rejected. We have alternatives, great alternatives. Could be more money. We'll take in more money, and we'll be a lot stronger for it. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We'll continue to do so. To show you how ridiculous the opinion is, however, the court said that I'm not allowed to charge even $1. I can't charge $1. Can't charge $1. I would have used 1 penny, but we don't make the pennies anymore. We save money. Can't charge $1 to any country under IEEPA. Not $1. I assume to protect other countries. This must have been done to protect those other countries, certainly not the United States of America, which they should be interested in protecting. That's what they're supposed to be protecting. But I am allowed to cut off any and all trade or business with that same country. In other words, I can destroy the trade. I can destroy the country. I'm even allowed to impose a foreign country destroying embargo. I can embargo. I can do anything I want, but I can't charge $1. Because that's not what it says. And that's not the way it even reads. I can do anything I want to do to them, but I can't charge any money. So I'm allowed to destroy the country, but I can't charge them a little fee. I could give them a little two-cent fee, but I cannot charge under any circumstances. I cannot charge them anything. Think of that. How ridiculous is that? I'm allowed to embargo them.
Yep.
I'm allowed to tell them you can't do business in the United States anymore. We want you out of here. But if I want to charge them $10, I can't do that. It's incorrect. Their decision's incorrect. But it doesn't matter because we have very powerful alternatives that have been approved by this decision. You know, they've been approved by the decision.
Yep.
For those that thought they had us.
Yep.
And they're saying that I have the absolute right to license, but not the right to charge a license fee. So think of that. I have the right to license, which is a very powerful word. In many ways, license is more powerful than tariffs. In fact, I was thinking about using it. But they came up with the idea that I can license, just like the people that were opposing me told them to do, but not the right to charge a license fee. Think of that. Who ever heard of such a thing? What license has ever been issued without the right to charge a fee? You get a license, you charge a fee. It's automatic, but not with this court. But now the court has given me the unquestioned right to ban all sorts of things from coming into our country, to destroy foreign countries, but a much more powerful right than many people ever thought we even had, but not the right to charge a fee. How crazy is that? Our country is the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. And it was a dead country 1.5 years ago under an incompetent president.
Yep.
But now I'm going to go in a different direction, probably the direction that I should have gone the first time, but
Oh, boy.
I read the language. I'm very good at reading language, and it read our way 100%, but now I'll go the way I could have gone originally, which is even stronger than our original choice. As Justice Kavanaugh, whose stock has gone so up, you have to see, I'm so proud of him, wrote in his dissent, although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward.
Yep.
So, think of that. The decision might not substantially constrain. And it doesn't, he's right. In fact, I can charge much more than I was charging. So I'm going to just start. Although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. That's because numerous other federal statutes, which is so true, authorize the president to impose tariffs and might justify most, if not all, of the tariffs issued in this case. Even more tariffs, actually. Those statutes include, think of that, those statutes include, for example, the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, Section 232.
Yep.
All of these things I know so well. The Trade Act of 1974, Sections 122, 201, 301. And the Tariff Act of 1930, Section 338, all clear. But it's a little bit longer process. I thought I'd make things simple, but they didn't let us do that. I would like to thank Justice Kavanaugh for frankly, his genius and his great ability. Very proud of that appointment. In actuality, while I am sure that they did not mean to do so, the Supreme Court's decision today made a president's ability to both regulate trade and impose tariffs more powerful and more crystal clear rather than less. I don't think they meant that. I'm sure they didn't. It's terrible. And to think that the Democrats who oppose this only because they want to go the opposite way, they'd like to pack the court. They want to put on 21 people. They want to pack the court.
Yeah.
Pack the Supreme Court. Maybe they should do it. Maybe they would be better off if they did it. They want to pack the court. They want to do anything to hurt our country. There will no longer be any doubt, and the income coming in and the protection of our companies and country will actually increase because of this decision. I don't think the court meant that, but it's the way it is. Based on long-standing law and hundreds of victories, and even, as I was pointed out before, even thousands of victories over the years, to the contrary, the Supreme Court did not overrule tariffs. They merely overruled a particular use of IEEPA tariffs. And essentially, it's used to get a fee. I can do anything I want with IEEPA, anything. I just can't charge anybody for it. I can license, I just can't charge them. It's ridiculous, but it's okay because we have other ways, numerous other ways. The ability to block, embargo, restrict, license, or impose any other condition on a foreign country's ability to conduct trade with the United States under IEEPA has been fully confirmed by this decision. So now there's no doubt, because, you know, there were a lot of questions about tariffs because no president was smart enough to use them to protect our country from those countries and businesses that were ripping us off. You took a look at the deficits that we had with some of these countries. It was disgraceful what they got away with for many, many decades.
It was bad. Yeah.
But now we know, because this decision affirms all those things that some people weren't sure about. In order to protect, and it says so, in order to protect our country, a president can actually charge more tariffs than I was charging in the past period of a year under the various tariff authorities. So we can use other of the statutes, other of the tariff authorities, which have also been confirmed and are fully allowed. Therefore, effective immediately, all national security tariffs under Section 232 and existing Section 301 tariffs, they're existing, they're there, remain in place, fully in place, and in full force and effect. Today, I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122 over and above our normal tariffs already being charged. And
Global.
We're also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices of other countries and companies. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Wow.
And I say quite simply, which I've said for a long time, make America great again. And interestingly, we've already made it great, so I don't have to use that, but I don't think we'll ever give up on MAGA. MAGA is always going to be with us. If you have a few questions, you can let us know. But just to end, so we're going forward, we will be able to take in more money, and there'll no longer be doubt, because there was always doubt. I know the people that brought the lawsuit, and you know, they're sleazebags, major sleazebags, but I know them, and they're foreign country centric. They were sending things into our country, and the people representing them knew full well, but they were sending things into our country, and they were beneficial to other countries, but very, very bad for us. And I stopped it, and we'll just keep it going. So we have we have a totally firm decision now, and I don't think the court meant it, because the court doesn't show great spirit toward our country, in my opinion. A lot of bad decisions, but there are usually ways around it. This is something we could have done, as Justice Kavanaugh said, we could have done this originally, but we're doing it now. And the numbers could be far greater than the hundreds of billions we've already taken in. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm very curious. You've spoken about
in the red.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Justice Thomas and Alito, as you know, are the most conservative constitutional justices. Do you think that you'll get to appoint 2 more justices later this term with similar ideologies? And what type of vetting process will they go through to ensure they uphold
I don't know, but they're
the
great
Constitution?
justices. That's all I can say. And I hope they're going to be around a long time. I hope they're going to stay healthy. They're great people. They're great. And Justice Alito, too, to add to the group. These are great men.
Right.
With a great love of our country and a great understanding of the law.
Mr. President, are you going to ask Congress to take additional action on tariffs now? Have you
No, I don't
spoken
need to. It's already been approved. I mean, I would ask Congress and probably get it. When people look at the real numbers and you look at hundreds of billions of dollars that have come into our country. Yesterday, I was at a steel plant, as you know, and I went to great place, great plant, great, wonderful people. And they were telling me, I said to them, you were there, a lot of the press in this room. Of course, I don't think this plane's big enough to take the press in this room, but a lot of the press right here. We were in Georgia. And I said to the owner, I made a speech at a factory. They make steel products. And I said, how are you? Nice to meet you. How's business? President, I'd love to kiss you. This is a very powerful man. I don't want to be kissed by that man, but a very powerful, strong man. He's been in the steel business for many years. His father started it. And he said, sir, I want to kiss you. I said, why? He said, because we were down to working 1 hour a week, and then you came in and imposed tariffs, and all of that foreign junk that they were dropping into our country stopped. And we're now going to double shifts, 7 days a week, and we may be very soon going to 24 hours around the clock, almost 7 days a week. He said, sir, I want to kiss you so badly. And I said, no, thank you. But you know what? He just to finalize it, he said, oh, this is a great place in Georgia. He said, all up and down the highway, same exact answer, sir. We're all going out of business. We're going to go bankrupt. We're all going out of business. And now every one of us are thriving, and we're hiring people like we haven't. He said, like I've never, and he's been in business for, I think, 45 years, like we've never hired before. That's because of tariffs. And we're going to keep it going the same way. And you're going to start to see the results in a year from now when all those factories start that are under construction right now. You see all the construction numbers are so good. Those construction workers are building factories that are going to be open, including not only AI, which is big, but car plants coming in from Canada, who ripped us off for 30% of our market. Mexico ripped us off for a big portion. Over the years, they've taken our market. They've taken our cars. They manufacture them in Japan, Germany, and all over the place because nobody's standing in this position. The position I have as President of the United States had the insight, the courage, well, I don't know what it is, to charge tariffs. You can make your product outside. You can put our people out of business. You can put everybody on the unemployment rolls. But if you're going to make a car in some other country, you're going to pay a 15, 20, 30% tariff. And those things would have never happened. We wouldn't have lost our business. Same thing with, as an example, Taiwan. Taiwan came in.
I will break it all down.
They stole our chip business. They make chips. For 30 years longer, they made chip. And they put our companies. Intel would be now the largest company. I saved Intel. I literally saved it at the beginning of this administration. And now all those companies in Taiwan are building factories in Arizona, Texas, and various other places because they don't want to pay tariffs. They're all pouring into the United States. But just like that great patriot said yesterday, sir, what you've done, nobody thought was possible. And Steve Moore, a highly respected economist, came into my office yesterday. He said, you've done something nobody's ever done. 22 Nobel Prize winners in economics said we would right now be in a recession. And you said, no, we're going to have a booming country. We're going to have a booming country. You were right. All 22 were wrong, and you were right. This country is booming, and it's booming because of the election on November 5th, and it's booming for another reason. It's booming because of tariffs. Yeah, please, go ahead.
You said ahead of this decision that if the Supreme Court
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. What will you say to foreign nations who seek to renegotiate their deals? And what did you mean a moment ago when you said that the Supreme Court has been swayed by foreign interests?
Yep.
Well, I think that foreign interests are represented by people that I believe have undue influence. They have a lot of influence over the Supreme Court, whether it's through fear or respect or friendships, I don't know. But I know some of the people that were involved on the other side, and I don't like them. I think they're real slime balls. And got to do what's right for the country. You got to do what's right for the Constitution. That's why I respect so much Justice Thomas and Alito, Kavanaugh, because they not only dissented, their dissent is so strong. When you read their dissent, you know, a lot of times you'll read a dissent and it's like, well, you don't know, it could go either way. There's no other way. The good news is, it's like Justice Kavanaugh said, very strongly said, you have other ways you can go. You don't have to go that way. You can go other way. There are numerous other ways you can go. And frankly, this should have been done by presidents many years ago. They allowed our country to be eaten alive. We lost 50% of our car business. We used to make cars. We made all the cars. And then Mexico came, Canada came, and Japan and Germany. But they're all coming back now. They're all coming back at record levels. No, you please. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking. I don't talk to CNN. It's fake news. Go ahead.
Mr. President, yesterday you made the case that the economy is the hottest it's been in a long time. Right. January jobs report beat expectations. CPI report beat expectations. Real wages are up. What would you tell Americans who are worried that this decision will kind of throw the economy that you have projected going in the right direction at a very rapid pace off track?
Well, thank you for the question. And I will say this. We really are at a very important point. I've been waiting for this decision so long. They could have made this decision a long time ago. Not complex. They're wrong on it. It's a ridiculous decision. But they should have released this a long time ago. We waited months. And that gave uncertainty. Now we have certainty. And I think you're going to see the country get much stronger because of it. Look, we were ripped off by almost every country in the world. If you look at the surpluses, almost every country in the world that did business with us, our people were stupid. And I blame presidents for it because they're ultimately the leader. We were being ripped off by almost every single country in the world, had some massive surpluses. China had hundreds of billions of dollars in surpluses with the United States. They rebuilt China. They rebuilt the army. We built China's army by allowing that to happen. I have a great relationship with President Xi, but he respects our country now. Now, what we've done, I charged China a 20% tariff as a penalty for sending fentanyl in. And that was 20 times more than they could make by selling fentanyl. And I said, at some point you're going to say, and they have reduced it. Fentanyl is down by more than 30% coming into our country. Part of that is our strong border. We have a strong border now. But thank you. Thank you for your question.
Mr. President, sir, you warned once in a social media post that if the Supreme Court did this, shot down your tariffs, the U.S. would be, quote, financially defenseless. Are we financially defenseless right now?
No, because we're doing something in a different way. We're doing something in a very powerful way, and we're using things that some people thought we should have used in the first place. But it's more complicated. It's a little more complicated. The process takes a little more time, but the end result is going to get us more money, and I think it's going to be great. Yeah, please. Peter, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump. So, since Liberation Day, there's about $175 billion in tariff revenue that is now in limbo. Do you have to refund $175 billion?
Think of it, Peter. Very fair question. They take months and months to write an opinion, and they don't even discuss that point. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars, not millions, hundreds of billions of dollars. And so I said, well, what happens to all the money that we took in? It wasn't discussed. Wouldn't you think they would have put one sentence in there saying that keep the money or don't keep the money, right? I guess it has to get litigated for the next 2 years. So they write this terrible, defective decision, totally defective. It's almost like not written by smart people. And what they do,
It
they
wasn't.
don't even talk about that. Your question is very basic. That was the first question I asked also to make you feel good. I said, what about all the money that we've taken in? Sir, they don't discuss that. How crazy is that?
What you're saying is, are you saying that you don't plan to honor refunds for companies that file for them?
I just told you the answer, right? I told you the answer. It's not discussed. We'll end up being in court for the next 5 years. Go ahead, Green.
Thank you, Mr. President. When you are talking about the relationship with countries that you have sought trade deals with, do you anticipate that they will seek to renegotiate those? What do you say to them? And do you view this as a potential undermining power for your
Well, we're going
negotiations?
straight ahead with 10% straight across the board, which was the absolute right to do. And that's taking place. That's a lot of money coming into our country. And then during that period of about 5 months, we are doing the various investigations necessary to put fair tariffs or tariffs, period, on other countries. So we're doing that period, but we're immediately instituting the 10% provision, which we're allowed to do. And in the end, I think we'll take in more money than we've taken in before.
Mr. President, you've used the tariff revenue to pay for a host of federal policies. You claim that they will pay for them. What happens
Well,
to
like
those
the
things?
farmers, we took care of farmers. You know, the farmers were mistreated by foreign countries very badly, very, very badly. And last week I gave them $12 billion out of tariff money. We intend to, out of tariff money, because just so you understand, we have tariffs. We just have them in a different way. And now they've been confirmed by the Supreme Court of the United States. So there's no longer that question out there about tariffs. And we'll be taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. And countries that have treated us badly will have to pay a price for treating us badly. And countries that have been good to us will be treated very well. We just left the top person in a place called Vietnam, just left my office. Great gentleman, strong and smart. He said, you know, I think this means you're allowed to charge us more tariffs than before. And Canada said to Jameson, I might want to say it, Jameson, but Canada said, I hope you win this decision, because if you don't win, you'll actually be allowed to charge us with a little additional work, higher tariffs. Jameson, you want to comment on that?
Yes, sir. So to the President's point, we have a lot of tools out there. We have Section 122, which will be implemented today. It will be signed today and implemented very shortly. We have Section 301 investigations, which are incredibly legally durable, where we can investigate and address unfair trading practices that have led to our huge trade deficit. And so you can look forward in the coming days and weeks to seeing all of that come out, and we're going to keep continuity in the program. We're going to keep addressing this so that the deficit can keep going down. That's the trend it has, and we can make America great again.
No.
Several of Republicans in Congress have supported this decision by the Supreme Court, and Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, has called you a wannabe king. Why wouldn't
him a low IQ?
But why wouldn't
he doesn't even know? And I watched him the other day interview. The guy doesn't even know what a tariff is.
But there's been bipartisan criticism
No, not bipartisan.
of the tariffs.
Excuse me.
There's several
A few
Republicans
people.
have said that.
Yeah,
But
a
why
few people.
wouldn't you just work with Congress to come up with a plan?
I don't have to.
push tariffs.
I have the
through?
right to do tariffs, and I've always had the right to do tariffs. And it's all been approved by Congress, so there's no reason to do it. All we're doing is we're going through a little bit more complicated process, not complicated very much, but a little more complicated than what we had. We'll be able to take in tariffs, more tariffs. And the Congress people and the Congress
down the Canadian tariffs last week.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
been votes
you
in the
know why?
Senate against it.
Yeah, because we lost 2 Republicans or 3 Republicans because they're not good Republicans. What you don't say, you don't say that we got 215 votes.
You need 218 for something to pass.
Yeah, sure we do. We might have lost 3 votes, and what was the score on the Republican side? 215 to 3, right? But you don't say that. We have great unity. There's great unity in the Republican Party, and I hope everyone's going to vote Republican, because otherwise you won't have a country left, because these people have been they are destroying our country. Please.
Mr. President,
That is
the
true.
122 tariffs, that 10%,
Yeah.
Is that going to be for 150 days, or do you want to charge that indefinitely?
We have a right to do pretty much what we want to do, but we're going to charge it starting effectively. I think it's 3 days from now. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, you speak to a lot of factory workers, a lot of manufacturing workers. What does the Supreme Court ruling say? What's that message to those factory workers?
Well, I think the factory workers are happy because we're now telling them that they're going to look. The man I met with yesterday, who owned a factory, was out of business. He was out of business, and now he's employing 5 times. In fact, I walked in. He's got a brand new crane. I said, "How old is that crane?" We got it in December. He's allowed to write it off in 1 minute. The great big beautiful act gave no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. He said this great big beautiful bill, frankly, has been the best thing that's ever happened for the workers of the, much more so than for rich people. The only thing it does for rich people, it allows them to hire a lot more people. But when I saw him, and then he said, it's all up and down the line. This is a place in Georgia, all up and down, other factories doing different, not only steel products, different. He said, every one of us was out of business. We could barely make it. Some of them were down to less than an hour a week. Think of it, 1 hour a week to make just a few little trinkets or whatever they make. Now they're going round the clock. I had it a month ago. I went to Michigan, went to Ford, and I met with Bill Ford, the head of Ford, and we were in one of the biggest plants, an original plant from the early 1900s, where, by the way, I might add this, it's not really relevant, but it's all relevant. Murders are down the lowest since 1900, around the time that he had this plant. That's 125 years. We have the lowest murder rate. Okay. And our crime is way down in the country. The factories that we're talking about, the people that we're talking about, they are so thrilled with Trump. So whether we charge IEEPA tariffs or whether we charge tariffs under a different section, that's what we're going to be doing. There's no way we can lever. This is what happened to our country. This is why we owe $38 trillion, which we'll get rid of in pretty good course. We have a very incompetent Fed chairman who likes high interest rates. For political reasons, he likes them. But we're going to have somebody very good. Interest rates should come down very substantially. I think we should pay the lowest interest rates on the planet. There should be no country, and we don't do that. We're number 38. This is just bad policy for a long period of time. But what's happened is we've made America strong again. We've made America great again. We should pay. As an example, the country of Switzerland, we were getting almost no tariffs from them. We had a $40 billion deficit. And the prime minister called me up. She said, but we are a small country, because I said we're going to raise it to 39% from nothing. That would have rendered them not very successful, as opposed to right now they're considered elite. But if we put a tariff, they would, and I realized then, she said, but sir, we are a small country. I said, you're a small country with a big deficit. For us, you're making a lot of money off the United States. If we do that, a lot of these elite countries, they're elite because we let them make so much money. And I want them to do well, but I don't want them to do well on the backs of the American taxpayer. So I appreciate your question. I think it's a reasonable answer.
President Trump, you said that you were disappointed with that, but were you surprised with this decision? What you felt when you...
I was surprised because I thought that what we did was, number one, according to, I mean, I read the paragraphs. I read very well. Great comprehension. I read everything there is to read, and I said, we can't lose this case. But we can when judges are political, when they want to be politically correct, when they're catering to a group of people in D.C. Maybe, I don't know what it is, because when you read it, there's no other interpretation. There is no other interpretation. But it's okay, because what has come out, and I'll say it for the third time and maybe the last time in a while, is that we've taken the uncertainty of tariffs out, because we had uncertainty. We got sued by sleazebags, I know them well, that are very outside country, China-centric, but outside country-centric. And they're going to end up not doing as well as they did before. America was becoming really, really, we're strong again. Hey, we have the strongest military. I rebuilt the military in the first term. We have the most powerful military. We make the best equipment, and even them, we could do much better. We have people that get paid a lot of money to manufacture Patriot missiles and javelins and all the different things, but when you want them, they're too slow, and we put them on notice, and they're going to make. Our country is building a lot of things right now, and our country is doing really well, and we're going to keep it that way. The bottom line is that the word certainty is now in the equation. Every single thing I said today is guaranteed certainty. It's been tested, as Jameson said 1,000 times. Literally, I said hundreds of times. He said, sir, actually thousands of times, and won in all of the courts. And we're just going back to that. And the problem is that we had other presidents that weren't into trade. Maybe they weren't business oriented. Maybe they weren't smart. We had some dummies too, I respectfully say we had some real dummies. So we are going to keep it going just as before, probably more so. But you're no longer going to be asked. Every time I got up, you'd ask, well, what happens if you can't charge tariffs? Now we can. And by the way, in their decision, they specifically said we can do these. We have alternatives. Yeah.
David, on the trade deals that were negotiated using IEEPA tariffs, do those stand now, or are they have to be redone?
Well, some of them stand. Many of them stand. Some of them won't, and they'll be replaced with the other tariffs.
Mr. President, on the Supreme Court justices who ruled against this the policy, striking it down, are they still invited to your State of the Union next week? And will you speak with them?
They are invited, barely. Barely. 3 are happily invited. No, they're barely invited. Honestly, I couldn't care less if they come. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the trade deal, which is the framework, which is to be signed with India sometime soon, will that stand now? And on the decision, nothing changes.
No, nothing changes. They'll be paying tariffs, and we will not be paying tariffs. Our deal with India is they pay tariffs. This is a reversal from what it used to be, as you know. India, and I think Prime Minister Modi is a great gentleman, a great man, actually, but he was much smarter than the people that he was against in terms of the United States. He was ripping us off in India. So we made a deal with India, and it's a fair deal now, and we are not paying tariffs to them, and they are paying tariffs. We did a little flip.
Are up as of now for this, Mr. President.
No, the India deal is on here.
Mr. President. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
All the deals are on. We're just going to do it a different way.
Mr. President. Thank you so much, Mr. President. I think there's another war that you stopped and you should take the credit, which is in Syria. Secretary Rubio, after his meeting in Munich with the Syrian Foreign Minister and the Kurdish General Muslim Abdi, he said that President Trump was directly involved in efforts to stop the fighting between the Kurds and the Syrians. How will your administration will make sure that this peace is sustained? And do you support the idea
Well, it's a very different topic, and so I don't want to spend a lot of time. But all I can say is that the president of Syria, who I essentially put there, is doing a phenomenal job. He's a rough guy. He's not a choir boy. A choir boy couldn't do it. But Syria is coming together, really coming together well. And thus far, he's been very good to the Kurds. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. President, what's your message to the Iranian people after 2 rounds of talks with them? Do you have any message to the Iranian people?
The Iranian people in Iran or people here?
People in Iran.
They better negotiate a fair deal. You know, the people of Iran are a lot different than the leaders of Iran. And it's very, very sad situation. But 32,000 people were killed over a relatively short period of time. They were going to hang 800, 2 weeks ago, hang, some by crane. They lift them up with a tall crane, and they play them around the square. They were going to hang 837 people. And I gave them the word, if you hang one person, even one person, that you're going to be hit right then and there. I wasn't waiting 2 weeks and negotiating. And they gave up the hanging. They didn't hang 837. Supposedly, they didn't hang anybody. But no, I feel very badly for the people of Iran. They've lived in hell. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned multiple times foreign influence over the Supreme Court. Do you have evidence of that? And if not, will you investigate that?
You're going to find out.
You're going to find out.
What alternatives are you going to put into place in your relationship with Europe, and also those tariffs that have been called illegal? How they're going to go impact the relationship with Russia, that you sanction
Well,
some
I want
countries?
Europe to strengthen up. Europe has gone woke. Europe is not recognizable when you go into so many places. Not all countries. You look at Hungary. You look at Poland, Czech, Slovakia. There are some countries that have gone very much the opposite. Some really, and some others. But Europe has to be strong, and they become soft and not recognizable. You go into some of the countries, I don't want to be specific, but I think everyone knows what I'm talking about, and they're not recognizable. They become, the environmentalists have taken over. They've got windmills destroying their fields and their beautiful meadows and their oceans, and they're paying a fortune. Now, Europe has to get smart. Europe's getting killed on two things, energy and immigration. And if they don't solve both of them fast, Europe is not the same place. Yeah, please.
Justices Gorsuch and Barrett, are you surprised in particular by their decision today?
I am.
And do you regret nominating them?
I don't want to say whether or not I regret. I think their decision was terrible. Yeah. I think it's an embarrassment to their families. You want to know the truth? The two of them. Yeah.
Specifically on that $2,000 tariff check.
Mr. President,
I didn't call you.
You didn't call me?
Yeah, Mr. President, to be clear, do you believe at the end of implementing these new tariff tools, the tariff rate and tariffs will ultimately be higher than they currently are?
Potentially higher. How much higher? It depends, whatever we want them to be. But we want them to be fair for other countries. And, you know, we have some countries that have treated us really badly for years, and it's going to be high for them. And we have other countries that have been very good, and it's going to be very reasonable for them. Yeah.
Specifically on the tariffs question, I mean on the $2,000.
I didn't call you.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. Do you have any plans to travel to India for the Quad Summit, and how do you think your relationship with India is right now?
I think my relationship with India is fantastic, and we're doing trade with India. India pulled out of Russia. You know, India was getting its oil from Russia, right? And they pull way back at my request because we want to settle that horrible war where 25,000 people are dying every month. And my relationship with Prime Minister Modi is, I would say, great. I also stopped a war between India and Pakistan, as you know. There were 10 planes we shot down. That war was going, and probably going nuclear. And just yesterday, the Prime Minister of Pakistan said President Trump saved 35 million lives by getting them to stop. That's and I did it largely with tariffs. I said, look, you're going to fight, that's fine, but you're not going to do business with the United States, and you're going to pay a 200% tariff, each country. And they called up and they said, we have made peace. Okay? I just want to thank you all. Look, great certainty has been brought back to the economy of the United States, and actually the economy of the world, because we generate so much in the world. We're the biggest in the world, and we're now the strongest by far. We were a country that was dead 1.5 years ago. Now we have the hottest country in the world. We're going to keep it that way. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, do not go anywhere because we have a lot to talk about. We are going to break down this entire situation. We also have a series of Truth Social posts from Trump on his account, further breaking this down. But ladies and gentlemen, just as a very quick little recap here, in case some of you maybe don't know exactly what has happened today or what has gone on today or why all of this is happening, a hyper condensed rundown. Earlier this morning, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled against President Trump's IEEPA trade tariffs. That's right around 70% of President Trump's trade tariffs. They said, you're not allowed to do these. Trump has come out and said, okay, well, what I'm going to do is re-implement every single one of those tariffs under a brand new bulletproof legal framework. The Supreme Court even admitted that this alternative legal framework is valid and bulletproof. So Trump said, okay, I can't have all these trade tariffs, 70% of the total trade tariff volume under the IEEPA. Okay, fine. We're going to reapply them under a different legal framework that is bulletproof. Nobody can do anything about it. Then he said that numerous members of our U.S. Supreme Court are operating under foreign influence. He said the only reason that these Supreme Court justices, it was 6 versus 3, the reason why some of these dissenting Supreme Court justices ruled against me and my tariffs today is because they're being influenced by foreign outsiders, globalist, foreign anti-American influence. When asked about that by a member of the media, he said, "You're going to find out very soon. Don't worry about it. You're going to find out exactly what I mean by foreign influence, influencing our Supreme Court very soon. Just you wait," is what he said. Then Trump said, not only am I going to re-implement all of my formerly IEEPA trade tariffs under a new bulletproof, legally bulletproof framework, nothing you can do about that. He said, also, I am now going to implement a brand new 10% global FAFO tariff on every country on the face of the planet. So not only do you still have to deal with the old tariffs under a new framework, those are good to go, but now we're adding another 10% global tariff just because you guys decided to fuck around. Now you're going to find out. Pardon my language. That's one of the big breaking news components of the day. 10% global tariff. You play around, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So pretty much the anti-American globalist plan has failed. Perhaps they thought that they could weaponize our Supreme Court to shut down these trade tariffs. Backfire, not happening. You've got to deal with the old tariff still, plus a global 10% brand new tariff. As it would turn out, President Trump was 10 steps ahead. Go figure. There you have it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as all of this is happening, I'm sitting here looking at the Dow Jones. This is the Dow Jones. There was earlier this morning when news of these, when the Supreme Court decision broke the news, stock market crashed. Okay, Trump steps up to the podium. He says the tariffs are still in effect. 10% global tariff, Supreme Court, foreign influence. And the Dow Jones skyrockets. As Trump was just up there on the podium, breaking all of this down, the market is rallying. Everybody believes in what he says. And so the stock market is skyrocketing as a consequence of Trump flipping this situation on its head. Trump doesn't lose. Now, beyond that, we also have 2 Truth Social posts. Excuse me. Hold up. Let me get these up here on the screen. There's a lot going on today, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you're new to the show, welcome to the Morris Force. Welcome to the community. Join us. Hit that like button on Rumble as well as on YouTube. We're live on both places right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some new posts from President Trump himself on Truth Social. Here's a first one. Man, he's been typing up some paragraphs. We're going to read through all of this. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing. I am ashamed of certain members on the Supreme Court for not having the courage to do what is right for our country. I would like to thank and congratulate Justices Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh for your strength, wisdom, and love of our country, which is right now very proud of you. We got to give these justices some respect, give them some props. Remember, they fought tooth and nail to stop Kavanaugh specifically from getting appointed during Trump's first term. Now you know why. Because listen, right now, we have a 3-member list of our Supreme Court justices that are not bought off or influenced by the anti-American globalists. Today, push came to shove, and we know who are the real, genuine patriot justices on the Supreme Court. 3 of them. Thomas, Alito, Kavanaugh, big respect. Got to give some props here. We are very proud of them. This post goes on to say, when you read the dissenting opinions, there is no way that anyone can argue against them. Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic and dancing in the streets. But they won't be dancing for long. And now we know why. This morning, when the news broke, the Supreme Court overturned 70% of Trump's tariffs. What do you think they were saying in China? What do you think they were saying over there? What do you think President Xi and his entire administration, the CCP, they were celebrating? They were laughing at us this morning. They were saying, those stupid American pigs. They're so stupid. Trump doesn't even have control over his own economic policy. Americans are so stupid. You know that's what they were saying over there. Well, that didn't last long. Maybe 2-3 hours at most. And now Trump has entirely recovered the entire situation. They're not laughing anymore. No, they're not. The Democrats on the Supreme Court are thrilled, but they will automatically vote no against anything that makes America strong and healthy. They are also a disgrace to our nation. Others think they are being politically correct, which has happened before, far too often with certain members of the court. In fact, they're just fools and lapdogs for the rhinos and the radical left Democrats, and not that this should have anything to do with it, very unpatriotic and disloyal to the U.S. Constitution. It is my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is massive. This is quite an allegation. We have justices on the Supreme Court who are swayed by foreign interests. When a member of the press asked him during that press conference, what do you mean by that, President Trump? He said, you're going to find out very soon. Trump said, don't worry. You're going to find out what I'm talking about very soon. So anyway, they're swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would even think, but obnoxious, ignorant, and loud. This was an important case to me, more as a symbol of economic and national security than anything else. The good news is that there are methods, practices, statutes, and other authorities as recognized by the entire court and Congress that are even stronger than IEEPA tariffs, available to me as President of the United States. And in actuality, I was very moderate. I was very modest in my ask of other countries and businesses because I wanted to do nothing that could sway the decision that has been rendered by the court. I will effectively utilize tariffs over the past year. I have very effectively utilized tariffs over the past year to make America great again. Our stock market has just broken the 50,000 mark on the Dow and simultaneously 7,000 on the S&P. Two numbers that everybody thought upon our landslide election victory could not be attained until the very end of my administration. 4 years. Tariffs have likewise been used to end 5 of the 8 wars that I settled. They've given us great national security and together with our strong border, reduced fentanyl coming into our country by 30%. When I use them as a penalty against countries illegally that were sending poison into the United States, China, all of those tariffs remain, but other alternatives will now be used to replace the ones that the Supreme Court has incorrectly rejected. Trump doesn't lose. Trump doesn't lose. He has classically flipped a loss into a major victory. Now we have another This is where things get spicy, okay? Because President Trump posted this on Truth Social as well as a follow-up. He said, to show all of you how ridiculous this Supreme Court opinion is, the Supreme Court said that I'm not allowed to charge even $1 to any country under the IEEPA. I assume to protect other countries, not the United States, which they should be interested in protecting first and foremost. But I am allowed to cut off any and all trade or businesses with that same country, even imposing a foreign country destroying embargo, and also do anything else I want to them. How nonsensical is that? So Trump is saying the Supreme Court has now decided today under the IEEPA that if Trump wanted to shut down all trade from China, for instance, he would have the power to do that. However, if Trump wanted to impose a $1 trade tariff against China, not allowed. Ridiculous, nonsensical, right? Absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. The Supreme Court is saying that I have the absolute right to license, but not the right to charge a license fee. What license has ever been issued without the right to charge a fee? But now the court has given me the unquestioned right to ban all sorts of things from coming into our country, a much more powerful right than many thought we even had in the first place. He's turned a loss into a win. Our country is the hottest anywhere in the world. But now I am going in a different direction, which is even stronger than our original choice. As Justice Kavanaugh said in his dissent, he said, quote, although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. That is because numerous other federal statutes authorize the President of the United States to impose trade tariffs and might justify most, if not all, of the tariffs issued in this case. Those statutes include, and then there's a series of statutes. Trump says, thank you, Justice Kavanaugh. Very true. So Trump is just now going to pivot to a different legal framework to maintain all of these tariffs. No problem. Slight speed bump in the road, but we're still going down the road nonetheless. In actuality, while I am sure they did not mean to do so, the Supreme Court's decision today made a president's ability to both regulate trade and impose tariffs more powerful and crystal clear rather than less. There will no longer be any doubt, and the income coming in and the protection of our companies and country will actually increase because of this decision. Based on long-standing law and hundreds of victories to the contrary, the Supreme Court did not, in fact, overrule tariffs. They merely overruled a particular use of the IEEPA tariffs. The ability to block, embargo, restrict, license, or impose any other condition on a foreign country's ability to conduct trade in the USA under IEEPA has been fully confirmed by this decision. In order to protect our country, a president can actually charge more tariffs than I was originally charging in the past under the various other tariff authorities, which have also been confirmed today and fully allowed. This is where it gets crazy. This, folks, what we're about to read, this upcoming next is what has the globalists and all of these anti-American entities absolutely panicking. Are you ready? Here we go. Therefore, effective immediately, all national security tariffs, Section 232 and existing Section 301 tariffs remain in place and in full force and full effect. Today, I will also sign an executive order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122 over and above our normal tariffs that are already being charged. And we are also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again, President Donald J. Trump. So, like I said a moment ago, I said, in effect, all of these IEEPA tariffs are going to be re-implemented under a new legal framework. The other 30% of Trump's tariffs that were never even under IEEPA are, of course, still in effect. And on top of that, Trump is now imposing a 10% global tariff on literally everybody. Like we said, the globalist plan has now completely backfired. Completely backfired. Massive day. This is one of the biggest days that we've had since Trump stepped back into the White House. Seriously. It's almost as if, well, let me rewind. There's a question here. Trump put 70% of his tariffs under the IEEPA, and 30%, the most important 30% of his tariffs over the last 13 months have been under these other legal frameworks, Section 232, Section 122, Section 301. Okay, I saw somebody ask the question, well, why did President Trump even use the IEEPA at all? Why not just initially put them all under these other legal frameworks? It's almost as if President Trump was baiting the Supreme Court to strike down the IEEPA tariffs, and insofar as doing so, strengthen and make more robust these other legal frameworks, which has exactly what has happened. It is almost as if Trump was playing a game of chicken or so, with the Supreme Court saying, okay, you either let us do what we want with the IEEPA, or you shoot it down, which consequentially makes these other legal frameworks more powerful, which is exactly what has happened today, and which is what President Trump is pivoting to now as we speak. President Trump is the genius. He's the mastermind of designing win-win situations. Trump does not find himself in win-lose situations. Well, we could win or we could lose. No, it's like we could either win this way or we could win this way. But either way, we are going to win. And that is exactly what President Trump has done here. President Trump baited the Supreme Court. Everybody for 3 hours this morning was panicking. Oh my gosh, President Trump just lost. He lost. He said, no, we're just going to win in a different way now. That is exactly what has happened today. Massive news. So we said, listen, okay, remember how we started off today's broadcast? I said, listen, you can be a little bit mad. We can be frustrated about some of these traitorous Supreme Court justices. You are right to be mad about that, about the way that they have ruled. But don't panic. You can be mad, but don't panic. You can be pissed off a little bit today because of this Supreme Court ruling, but don't panic. It's under control. It's under control. Patriots are in control. As they say, patriots are in control. Trump was 10 steps ahead here. No doubt about it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this has been, how long have we've been live for? Almost about 2 hours today. Ladies and gentlemen, I think at this point in today's show, that's a nice way to conclude the broadcast. I think we should take a look at some super chats. I was going to wrap up the show. I said, wait a minute, we've got 1 billion super chats here. Duh, we have to go through the super chats. Okay, bear with me here. Let me pull these up. I see down there on Rumble from Shannon, CLC from Shannon. Thank you very much. I see those 5 gifted Rumble premiums. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. Let's go through these super chats. If you're new on Rumble or on YouTube, Shannon, thank you again. Make sure to hit that follow button. Make sure to like, subscribe, do it all. You know what's up. You know what's up. Okay, I've got the super chats open here. Let me find where we left off. You guys have been very vocal today. I'm looking at the super chats. I'm trying to find where do we even begin? Where do we even begin? Okay, we are starting with, there's a lot of them today. We are starting with Andrew Jackson. He says, Jackson was the best. Nice name, relevant super chat. Thank you, sir. John Jones here. He says, Vance versus Pence would be a bloodbath. That would be interesting. Pence would not stand a chance. Thank you very much. Dizzy Dial says, okay, we saw that one. These people are evil. A lot of these anti-American traitors. It's true. I'm trying to, there's so many, I'm trying to find where to even begin here. Okay, Gregory Gosselin, he says, it would be great if after proving all the voter fraud, Biden being illegitimate, that massive arrests happen right then for those involved and all of the radical judges get removed for illegitimacy. I can't, of course, promise that all of that or any of that is going to happen. What I will say, we know for a fact, 2026, as we head towards midterms, as we get closer to midterm election day, things are going to heat up. Things are going to heat up. Most certainly they are. Absolutely they are. They are. We've been talking about how 2026 is going to be the year of criminal accountability. Rumor has it Trump at the State of the Union address 4 days from now is going to drop a bombshell about election fraud, 2020 foreign interference, maybe even foreign interference on the Supreme Court. He was alluding to that today also. You guys are going to want to tune in to the State of the Union address. It is this Tuesday evening, February 24th. We're going to be covering it live. Tune into this broadcast. Come back here. We're going to be watching it together. Thank you very much. We have a super chat here from Major with Abigail. Says, this is the brilliance of Trump. He always has a contingency plan We have more work to do removing all these anti-patriotic elements from our system. Very true, true, and true. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Don't panic. Don't panic. Grumpy old man, he says, do not worry. We will make the Supreme Court a 21-member Supreme Committee, comrades. That's what the far left wants to do. And usher in a couple new states to pack not only the Supreme Court, but also pack the Senate. We can't let them do it. Thank you, sir. Jim Barbado, thank you, sir. Happy Friday. Dr. Deluxe, he says, shut them down, F China, America first. True. I agree. Hey, I agree. Thank you very much. Christy says, FAFO tariff. That is like literally what this is. Why is Trump imposing a 10% global tariff? FAFO. Shouldn't have done it. Shouldn't have played games. Shouldn't have played games with this guy. Shouldn't play games with the president of the United States when the president of the United States is Donald Trump. Shouldn't have done that. Big mistake. Thank you, Christy. Good to see you. Jim Barbado, thank you, sir. Deb S. says, love President Trump. Thank you for covering this, Matt. I was like, man, should I go live? Should I cover this? I was scoping out various other commentators, political commentators, right before I went live with you guys today, and everybody was panicking. Everybody was losing their mind. I really shouldn't name names. You guys know I don't do the drama thing, but all these other right-wing commentators, this morning, they were saying, it's over. Trump is powerless. Trump just got neutered by the Supreme Court. MAGA is dead. What is with these people? Have you guys noticed? What is with all of these right-wing commentators? It's like they're being paid to demoralize the country. MAGA's dead. Trump is a failure. It's over. The Republic has been lost. All hope is lost. What is with these people? Wrong. Zip it. Silence. Silence. We're not going to get demoralized by these people, really, because it's just bullshit. It's not even true. Silence. It really is. I'm just so tired of it. So I said, we got to go live. We got to set the record straight. Somebody's got to cover this. The Morse Force has got to take control. So thank you for being here. Thank you, folks. We really are like the only community, one of the only communities out here. I don't know. It's us. We are the stalwart defender of the Republic at this point. I don't even know. Everybody else has devolved into nothing more than being a useful idiot for the far left. Man Samsung says Trump is the home team president, right? Right. Thank you. True. Thank you very much. And the Vensterwald, he says, that's my president, FAFO traitors. Yeah, surprise. Amy Coney Barrett wins the award for betrayed the country for no reason. Amy Coney Barrett, congratulations. Come on down. You betrayed the Republic for no reason. Congratulations. Step on up. Here's your trophy. Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. I'm sure she thought she was making a play. I'm going to do exactly what my globalist overlords want me to do. I'm going to shut down Trump's tariffs. Actually, loser alert. Actually, you're not. Actually, you're not, because you're a stupid globalist loser. So congratulations, dumbass. Sorry. I'm getting a little bit edgy today. I'm a little bit edgy today. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, folks. We keep it professional here. We keep it professional. Thank you very much. Biggest idiot of the country, of the century award goes to Amy Coney Barrett. Just Diana, $50 massive super chat says, I voted for this. We voted for this. Let's go. Thank you, Diana. Good to see you as always. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show. Thank you very much. Massive, massive. Concrete Lizard says, Trump had a plan if the Supreme Court ruled against him, master chess player. Checkmate. Checkmate. Thank you, Concrete Lizard. Sherry Zilak says, stock market has been soaring. I know, right? I know. You know, we've been hearing for 13 months, well, I'm an expert. I'm a left-wing economic expert, and I have determined with my PhD that President Trump's trade tariffs are going to cause not only a recession, but in fact a depression. President Trump's tariffs are going to be catastrophic for the economy and the stock market. Is that right? Oh, yeah. Is that right, Mr. Left-wing expert? Is that right, huh? So when is that happening? Because it's been like a year. It's been a year now. So when exactly is that going to happen? Because in fact, the exact opposite has happened. Well, we've had to modify our projections. It seems as if we were slightly off base. Yeah, it seems so. Yeah, it seems like it. Seems like it. These people, they're getting paid $500,000 a year to make all these expert projections. They're wrong literally every single time. They're collecting their $500,000 paycheck every single year. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Thank you. We have a super chat here from Ragnar. He says that's for the CNN comment. Yeah. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Ragnar. Cindy says, best president ever. I love President Trump. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you very much. Gifted memberships alert from Marilyn up on YouTube. Thank you very much. I want to make sure I don't miss anything on Rumble. Rumble sucks. He says, Matt, Jeremy Harold gave you a shout out today. Jeremy Harold. I need to hold up. I feel rude. I feel rude here. I'm gonna look into that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Jeremy Harold. Thank you very much. And of course, once again, Marilyn Kaplan. Thank you for those 5 gifted memberships. I don't want to gloss over those. Thank you very much. I'm just in my own bubble here. I do apologize. Super chat or Rumble rant from Free Florida says, great show as usual. Thank you, sir. I need to take a trip down to Florida. It's been a while since I've been to Florida. If I go to Florida, who would hang out with me? Who wants to hang out in Florida if I ever find the time to go to Florida? We'll do a hangout. Well, we're gonna eat some alligator together. We're gonna have an alligator cook-off. I don't know. Matt's a patriot. Hey, that's a good name. That's a good Rumble name. Rumble Randy says, in celebration of that 10% hammer, but not limited to. Thank you very much. 10%, $10. Thank you very much. Relevant. Everything is relevant about that Rumble rant there. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I need to find my place again. You guys are overwhelming me today. I can't keep up. I'm going crazy here. We have a super chat from Robert Belt. Robert Belt. He says, thank you, Matt, for your great coverage. My wife and I love your dedication to your coverage of President Trump and current affairs. MAGA strong. That's right. That's right. Am I still wearing the hat? I forgot which hat I had on. That's right. Make America great again. Thank you. Thank you. I always love it. I always love to hear that we've got entire families. We've got the son and the daughter and the mom and the grandma and the wife and the uncle and the cousin, whatever. Everybody's tuning in. I always love to hear that. Thank you very much. That's awesome. Thank you very much. BJRZ says, I don't care about my Dow. My coffee is $20 a can. BS. Hey, we're working on it. Thank you very much. Man Sam again says, boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast. How Trump came out and just pretty much dunked out on these globalists. That is what happened. Trump was dunking out. Thank you very much. Patricia Luna says, I want to kiss President Trump. He's saving America. God bless President Trump. That's right. That's right. He is. Literally, he is. I really do believe that President Trump has had the most consequential or effective 12-month period in the Oval Office, perhaps in all of U.S. history. I don't know. Go ahead. Try to find a president. You might find one. Go ahead and find a president that has had a more eventful 12-month window. I don't think you're going to find one. Seriously. No disrespect to anybody else, but this has been a whirlwind of a year. It has. Martial law, he says, this is the quote from Andrew Jackson. John Marshall of the Supreme Court has made his decision. Now let him enforce it. That's right. Now let him enforce it. Thank you. It's very true. We support Andrew Jackson in this community. Curtis, one of my favorite viewers. Thank you very much. Massive. Listen, Curtis, every single day you show up and you're dropping $50 super chats. Listen, dude, we get it. Okay, you own a Bugatti. We get it. We get it. You own a yacht, Curtis. We get it. We've seen the $50 super chats. You have a pet tiger. We get it. You live in a mansion. You live in a penthouse, Curtis. We get it. We get it. You're an oil baron. We get it. No, I'm kidding. We get it, Curtis. No, I'm kidding. Hey, thank you very much. Thank you, Curtis. You have a pet tiger. Okay, we get it, dude. Thank you. No, thank you very much. He says, why do all these reporters have foreign accents? Hello, sir. I'm from India. We want to know what is the tariff impact on India over in India. We want to know about the... Okay, calm down. Okay, listen, Ranjit. It's going to be okay. You're going to have to pay the tariff. You're going to have to pay the tariff, Ranjit. It's going to be okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. They're in there. There were 2 or 3 of them in there. I heard 2 or 3 of them. And I said, sir, can you please speak English? Sir, you need to speak English. I can't understand anything you're saying. Please, you need to download Duolingo and take a couple English lessons. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Curtis. We have a super chat from Water. He says, this is the Dawn shutting out CNN. That's right. That was the CNN comment. I don't take questions from CNN. Fake news. We love to see that. Thank you very much, Water. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have a super chat from No PhD Coyote. He says, I think I have social score fleas. I can't get a dadgum thing past the algo. YouTube is a little bit sensitive. If you say something wrong, YouTube doesn't let it come through. That's true. On Rumble, you can post whatever you want. On Rumble, you can post whatever you want. And really, I don't care. Have you noticed I kind of don't care what you guys post? It can be a little bit controversial, a little bit edgy, okay? It doesn't bother me. Just don't spam. Personally, I had to time out some spammer today. Ooh, spammers. Ugh, really gets me going. As long as you're not spamming, I kind of don't care what you say. Really. You can call me a big, fat, dumb idiot. I really don't care. It doesn't bother me. Just do not spam. Do not spam. Do not spam. Papa. Otherwise, I'm going to have to bop ya. Papa. Thank you very much. Curtis says, correction, she's a pet leopard. Curtis is right now sending in $50 super chats on his yacht, floating off the coast of Tampa, down in Florida. And he has his pet leopard on the yacht. His Bugatti is also on the yacht also. He's using Starlink internet. It's really impressive. He's got an impressive apparatus. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Curtis. I don't know how he does it. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know how he does it. Thank you, Curtis. We're very happy to have you here. The Morse Force is taken over. I almost said Michael. This is Michelle. Michelle Carpenter. Thank you, ma'am. Says, you're our favorite, Matt, and thank you. Trump is the GOAT. What does the GOAT mean? Greatest of all time. The greatest of all time. Is that true? Yes or no? In the live audience here. Is Trump the GOAT, in fact, the greatest of all time? Yeah, I think so. I think so. I was about to make a very racist joke, but I probably shouldn't. But I'm going to do it anyway. Considering Trump is the GOAT, he probably should stay out of the Middle East. Keep him out of the Middle East because we know what they do. Okay, I'm sorry. He is the GOAT, though. Undeniably, he is the GOAT. We got to be careful. Okay, we got to be careful about that, though. It's true. Thank you very much, Michelle. I appreciate that. Sorry for that one. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, listen, hey, this has been one hell of a show. Today has been a roller coaster. We thought it was bad news. Then it was like, okay, listen, maybe it's not the worst news. It's going to be okay. And then Trump came out and it's actually good news. Not only is it not bad news, not only is everything just not going to be okay, everything is great news. That is where we are. It's been a roller coaster of a day. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I want to say today, I would love to do an evening show. We haven't been doing evening shows because the news has been kind of slow. We are going to do an evening show. Today, we are going to do an evening show. 5 p.m. Western, what is that? 8 p.m. Eastern. We will be back. That's about 5 hours from now. We will be back. Come back for the evening show. I think today we're going to have enough to talk about today. So it's a big news day. So I'll see you folks later today. Thank you all very much for tuning in. I'll see you then. Thank you for the likes, everybody, super chats, everything. Great day. Awesome day. Thank you all. I'll see you then. Until then, God bless, stay safe, and thank you very much.